I'm not feeling myself. Fucking. I'm putting my guitar away. I'm not feeling myself at the moment, to be honest. Um, what's happened basically, and it's yeah, it's a stressful morning anyway. What's the point of the fucking video? I wanted to say Happy Pride Month, obviously, because it's Pride Month now. And this is really a different sort of thing. I've already talked about my exploration to my sexuality and stuff, like when the thought started and when I realised I was. I'm pretty sure I made a video on that. I want to talk about a different thing today, which is like anyone should hear really. And it's about how I've sort of changed my worldviews and stuff over the years, and like why the truth matters and stuff, and like how I almost got like fucking dragged up into this sort of anti-woke movement, quote unquote. So yeah, so this is how I realised I wasn't anti-woke and advice to any walks of life out there. This could be right-wing people, it could be left-wing, it's anyone, really. So, quite a while ago, I think 2016 maybe, or around there, I used to follow quite a few drama channels and stuff, and it was really easy to just get sucked up into that sort of thing and sort of focus on that instead of your own mental health. I think that's why people do it, to be honest, but it's not the healthiest thing, just from my experience anyway. Because the problem with the drama channels is they live for drama, and that creates this like ripple effect. So it sort of spreads in a sense. It covers people as well, and, you know. And that's the frustrating thing about it. It's all bullshit, really. It doesn't matter in the end, and also, like, if people were like cancelled nowadays, just speaking in the realistic sense, it's not always justified. Because I think people have problems that are very much unchangeable. You can't fix the past. Like, for example, there's like former York's cast members. There's this guy. I'm not sure if I should name him actually. I probably won't for the sake of anonymity. But there was a post on the York's cast Reddit a while ago about so-called racism and I think ableism might have been using the R word, but I can't remember. Basically, there was this member of the York's cast doing that, and basically they were calling them to be kicked out for sure, and in a sense it's sort of justified, but there's context missing there, and that's that the person changed, and really it's just silly. You shouldn't be cancelling someone for what they've done in the past and don't do in the present. It's like fucking, I don't know, like, say someone in school sort of picks on you a bit, maybe, like once, and then you hold a grudge against them as an adult, so you take it out on them as an adult. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Like, we're all young and stupid as well. I used to use the R word, I used to use the F word. So yeah, that's where that went. Back onto the story though. Trying to think. Where do I start this actually? Yeah, I was looking at drama channels, that was it. And I was just getting sucked into them too hard, and eventually I got recommended other channels, other drama channels. The problem that came with that is that they typically focused on creating controversy, and this channels like Drama Alert. Is that the one with Keemstar? It's just like Keemstar for that sake. I think he's the twat. I don't know though. I have a bunch of videos on that and that sort of stuff, but that sort of led me down this road of like various different channels with different topics. And I remember when the Fallout 76 controversy came out, there was a channel that made a video on that, and the video was basically saying how it's too woke. And at the time I was thinking like, yeah, okay, it's maybe a bit too woke. When was Fallout 76? 2018, yeah, that's about right. I was sucked into like videos of slamming it, and it was like a big controversy at the time. Nobody liked the game, but that for some reason was a criticism that this channel had. And like, naturally, because I wasn't exploring my sexuality exactly at that time, I felt like that was justified, and so I started going on this sort of like YouTube channel recommend stuff of channels that were basically anti-woke, and they're typically homophobic and transphobic and stuff. I'm pretty sure they're against disabilities as well, because they used to use like terms like autist as a sort of discriminative / insult term. So that's something. And it didn't take me until like 2019 or something. There was actually a Yost Cost Jingle Jam where it completely changed my view of everything, pretty much. Where someone came out as trans, and I was like, wow, I did not know that, and I've been looking at this thing wrong the whole time. And I was looking at like the channels that I was listening to, like there was also one that was like covering game drama. I forgot his name, he had a really memorable name, but he got into a lot of controversy, and he was like right wing as well. Like he took issue with was it, I think, Game Killing Dolls or something, and then there was one about having women as playable characters or something. He was just accusing them of like the quartering, that was it. That twat. He was just going on this anti-woke rampage, and it was around the time I realised that this was getting silly. And essentially I unsubscribed from all the channels that were quote unquote anti-woke and drama related. They weren't doing my mental health any good, but other than that, it just isn't interesting and it isn't good in general. But it's just not informative either. It's not even like pro-human, I guess you could call it. It's not moral. So it sort of leads me down this rabbit hole of where do I go from here? And essentially I started looking at like different views of stuff, like I'm trying to think. I went down the atheist rabbit hole again because I haven't been down that for years, and I found a few channels that sort of convinced me of like being like agnostic atheist and stuff. Like, these rational sort of views where they're well thought out and they speak sense. Like you can't know there's a god, so as a result you just can't pick any side because it'd be foolish. And there's also like other channels that were like pro gaming and stuff, like pro LGBTQ plus and stuff, which you guys cosplay and I didn't even know at the time. I grew up watching Shadow of Israel, and obviously now they're making like TTT videos and real life stuff, which is great, like Taskbox. So yeah, that was my exposure to LGBTQ plus technically. I wasn't the first anyway, other than fetishizing lesbians, which I don't do anymore. Actually, when I see lesbian stuff, it's like, that's cute. But there's nothing sexual about it, nothing arousing. Although it definitely is in like the context, but not as like a fetish sort of thing, if that makes sense. My views have changed drastically over the years because I used to be sort of anti-woke, like people are just being too political and stuff. And I realised that was bullshit, essentially. There were a few things that sort of helped me get through to that point, to where I can be unbiased and honest and sincere and critical thinking. And it involves those, actually. And that's how I got there. So I didn't realise, but I was critical thinking for longer than I expected. It sort of started when I was playing Overwatch, actually. For some reason that came from there. Like I remember when I was called out for toxicity in competitive and justifiably so. And that sort of changed my view forever. Like who would have thunk that would have changed everything? And sort of made me the person that I am today. It sort of started from there. I was thinking like, what else can I be wrong about? And yeah. I started thinking about my worldviews and stuff, and when I became vegan again, it got me thinking even more like, okay, I opposed veganism for a while, even after being vegan in 2016. What's different now? And the difference is that I've changed my mindset. I've got a more reliable mindset that actually people have struggles actually arguing against, and people actually say it's sound. So that's where that went. So yeah, the advice I have for people really about the walks of life, like how to approach it and how to know where you actually stand and stuff. The first bit of advice is to be unbiased. I think this is important, and what I mean by that is try not to pick a side. Even if you want to, just try not to. I even do this myself, even in the LGBTQ plus community. Like I have heard an anti-woke channel again recently, like an anti-trans person. I made a video on that, basically talking about how bullshit this was and how unreasonable it is. And I think I also gave the same advice there, but the crux of it was basically, like, one, there's no evidence, two, I agree with some of the bullshit here. Because if people aren't exaggerating things and sort of forcing people to be trans, that's not good. The first thing is that it just lacked any sort of logic and critical thinking. Because there was this claim, a big claim actually, that someone was identifying as trans, I think it was, and the quote-unquote anti-woke person basically investigated this and went through an online profile, which, by the way, could have been abandoned, and found the person wasn't trans on there, so basically they used the wrong pronouns, and then, yeah. To be honest, that isn't silly. It's just completely stupid, and obviously because there's no evidence of it, how do you expect people to react? But again, like, I think people are emotionally charged as well, and that's the problem. And that brings me on to another point actually, which I'll put before the next one. It's about being sincere. I think, as far as I know the word's definition, because I didn't learn English very well, and definitions for that matter, it's about being, like, completely emotionally discharged, is it? Like, we don't have emotion. You have to be serious, and that's the problem here. I don't think a lot of these channels that are calling out these sort of things are actually being serious about the topic. And that's because there needs to be evidence of it, and there needs to be more thought put into the fucking thing. It's like when people read the headline saying that a quote-unquote vegan couple starved a baby to death, they immediately take that as, oh, they fed the baby vegan food, so it's the vegan diet that's the problem. But if you actually read the writing, you'll see that, in fact, that these quote-unquote vegan parents they didn't feed their child anything. So that's why the baby died. It's not the vegan diet. It's because they didn't feed it anything. And this would be the same if you switched out the vegans for vegetarians or pescatarians or even omnivores for that matter. And that's what it means to be unbiased and sincere as well. Trying to make the thumbnail for this. Whilst I do it, it's just to save time. I seem to be very slow these days. It's the styles and stuff. I realised I wasn't anti-weight at all. Now I'm tired. The next bit of advice for that sort of thing is to be honest. There's something that I see a lot in every sort of community, every walk of life. And the problem is that it's just ridiculous. But to put it into perspective, like let's say you say that people can't be gay because there's poop in the butthole. It's like just something silly like that. And someone then tells you that, oh, but we have douches, so I think it's a douche or bidet. It's one of them. But they have these things that clean them out, and that's how people basically have anal sex, and that's, yeah. If the person continues to claim, like, well, there's still poop up there, that's not being honest. And it just shows a lack of understanding as well. Like, the right thing to do in that situation is to say, oh, you're probably right. I'll think about it, or I'll look it up, and something like that. But no, people prefer to live in the dark, head in the sand, that sort of thing, and that's dishonesty. Like, I've even seen this in debate videos. Like, I remember very notably, it's a very memorable one because of how shit it was. There was this flat earther versus anti-flat earth debate, and it was from a channel that was quote unquote unbiased. I didn't think they were because the moderator did nothing. But the moderator was just there to listen in and, yeah, but didn't do anything to sort of remedy the situation. So it became a problem. But the whole debate was basically flat earthers, quote unquote, providing evidence, which wasn't evidence for anyone rational, but the anti-flat earthers were basically, or globe earthers for that matter, they were just insulting the flat earthers the whole time, and I was just sitting there like, this is fucking boring. You're not educating anyone, you're not changing any minds. If anything, you're just scaring people away from it, from the offside, and that's a massive issue. It just pissed me off there. It's one of the worst debates I've ever seen, just hands down. And debates are a good way to sort of challenge your worldviews and stuff. Because it's pretty important to get both sides. Because I remember growing up, I was always told, like, on one side of my family, God didn't exist. God won't exist, hell doesn't exist. But on the other side, I'd be told they do exist. And it was just confusing to me at that point. The problem is because of, like, the emotional charge that is in, like, religion and stuff. I've been threatened with hell and stuff. That just sort of took over, and that convinced me, and that's the problem. And I consider that bad parenting. But even I had a thought the other day about Muslim families, and even one of my good friends in school who was unfortunately a Jehovah's Witness because of his mum. Basically, it's abusive, and it's not fair to teach children that, let alone terrorise them with it. And that's where we get a problem. And I would say the same about atheists, actually. If you're telling your children that God doesn't exist, you're not teaching them the right way to learn. It's just anti-learning, anti-education, anti-fucking critical thinking, which is my next point. I'll say the next point is critical thinking, so you need that to really discover right from wrong. You need to question things that should be questioned, and are to be questioned for that matter. It's just a sad world we live in where we can't question things, and there's no that. So I'm getting distracted now because yeah, you need critical thinking because you just won't survive without it. And there's actually put a lot of my sort of worries to rest, to be honest, because of critical thinking. It's helped me get through life a bit more easier now, even though I do struggle with depression and stuff. It's a very important thing to know. Yeah. One thing I forgot to say, I think, this wasn't a instant thing, it was a gradual change, to be honest. It's just one of those things where I started thinking more because I realised I was wrong in multiple different situations. I still find things I'm wrong about today, to be honest. And it still gets to me, and I still think about it. It's important to sort of take a step back and think, and it's just a matter of like when you come to realise these sort of things. So it is a bit difficult at times as well. I don't ever sort of like relapse, to be honest. Like when I hear something like LGBTQ plus sexualization or I was that one in that video, like sort of exaggeration, forceful thing. I still criticise that, but it's not a relapse like into that sort of anti-woke sort of crowd. It's more sort of taking a step back, think about it, realise the wrongness, and then yeah. I think about how wrong it is, how it might be handled, like whether there's any sort of good in that situation, like that sort of thing. And that is important. That's why I started sort of caring about that sort of thing. And there was even a point in my life where actually I thought I might be trans because I just had these instincts that made me feel like maternal, I guess you could say. Because I sort of felt attachments to certain things, like they were my children or something. I also felt like I could be a better parent than my own for some reason. I realised I'm not, and I thought about that because it was important. I even asked people, and they said like no. And that's because like to be transgender, you need to have gender dysphoria slash body dysphoria, and that's a really crucial thing to get the treatment. And the same applies to children. Like children can't just say, "I want to be a woman today," or "I want to be a man," or boy or girl, whatever. That's not how it works. And if that is how it works, we would have a very big problem. Like anyone could realise that, even LGBTQ plus communities. So yeah, hopefully that was interesting to people. I think it's an important video to make. It's not exactly in the theme of Pride Month, but it's all helped me get here anyway. Yeah, another thing I could talk about quick. There's also this claim that people just want to be part of groups just for the sake of being a part of it. I'd have to say that's false. For most people, anyway. Like, who the fuck would want to be a part of a group that is actively still discriminated against in a lot of countries, including the ones where it's quote unquote safer? Who would do that? Like, that to me makes no sense. And also, why would you want to be diagnosed with like autism or something just to be part of a group? But that sort of shit is damaging not only to the people who actually have these things, like autism or LGBTQ plus, it's damaging to society as a whole. But you get all these random people in here who aren't exactly autistic or LGBTQ plus, claiming they are. Like it's just similar with the anti-trans person I talked about earlier. because they're a detransitioner, and they're basically blaming the LGBT plus community for the detransition. But as I've seen from interacting with the LGBTQ plus community for over 4 years now, nobody really argues against detransitioning. Like, it's there for you, you can do it, and it's not a problem. And people are not saying, like, you're alienated for it. But they will alienate you for fucking blaming it on them, because that's not a fair thing to do. And yeah, like, why would you be part of a group anyway, if that was an issue that you had to face at some point? I still don't understand that. As I said, I'm vegan, so I've also got sort of fact thrown my way even because of being vegan, even though there's no actual justifiable reason for it. So yeah, people really need to wake up, to be honest. I'm tired of the anti-woke stuff, and it's also spreading to gaming, for fuck's sake. Like, I've even seen racism and stuff. Just because a game has a fucking black character, or even Chinese or Japanese or whatever. It's absurd, the amount of fucking shit that's going around now. And anyone who could take a step back and think for a minute would know why. It's all about understanding and context, and that's lost in translation because people misuse the internet and stuff. Like, there's even fucking anti-social media posts in my feed now. I keep getting recommended these shorts from like videos between 2000 and 2006 or 8 even, before social media and smartphones. And people say like social media has ruined us. Like, no. Again, that's out of context and mistranslated as well. But the real fucking thing that's ruining us is corporations and their greed and the misuse of social media by people like this who are ironically saying social media has ruined us. Because they're the ones fucking making videos saying you can't be LGBTQ+, you can't be black, can't be anything. Am I wrong? But if I'm wrong, obviously say that's important, because if I am saying something that's wrong, I need to be corrected. And that's one of the weird things about this whole thing. Is I get sort of interested when I'm wrong about something, and I'm actually happy that I'm wrong because it means I can correct myself for that situation or that topic. Yeah. So it definitely isn't an easy video to make here. I think I'll end it now. I think people found it interesting.